Moving to the bag. Nothing changes other than our now having a target, a point of impact. This simulates the human body. Not to make it more complicated than it is, head, body, you have to imagine roughly where the belt line would be, okay? And all you got to do is take a look at your own bag and stand beside, figuring anybody you'd strike would be at least similar in stature to you by weight class. I'm going to maintain all fundamentals of this jab. Fighter stance, I have my legs, my feet staggered a little bit beyond shoulder width. My knees are slightly bent. Mind you, a conventional boxer stance might close a bit more with the target in front of him. We open slightly, not fully to square ourselves or as much maybe as a wrestler might. Somewhere in the middle. This is an MMA fighter stance, and if we acknowledge MMA as the culmination of all combat sports, then this stance is the most versatile. My chin is tucked, my hands are up. What I'll be using this jab to do beyond starting the combination, as I referenced earlier, this is also our range finder. By landing this jab effectively, it's a feeling out process, and it enables us to land other punches in a given combination, namely for us, the straight right, the left hook, and the right uppercut ultimately, effectively. I will still touch down with my left foot. I will still roll my shoulder and fist and clench at point of impact. All stays the same, but we're now hitting a target. Tendencies beyond being robotic, as I said earlier, that you'll feel you're going to try to throw harder because you're throwing at something. Don't. Allow, as cliche as it sounds, the punch to do the work. If you use your leg and hip and you turn on this punch, the jab will come in as hard as it has to be. It's not a power punch, and if you start throwing harder than necessary, you're going to put undue trauma on your own shoulder and you're going to risk hyperextension. So here I am, all mentioned, all in. What you will learn is if you have yourself spaced too far away, you're going to have to lunge more so than what ought to be the case. It's going to be unnatural, and you'll feel it. It should feel the same way it did when you were shadowing or mimicking. If I throw from too far out and I have to reach to that degree, the punch is ineffective. It's going to put me in a compromising position where I'm less able to defend myself than I should be. The alternative would be being too close. If I throw the jab from too tight a quarters and I can't get full extension, now I risk stoving my own arm, jamming it, and or putting myself in what we call the pocket, harm's way, earlier than we're prepared to take that risk. We enter the pocket when we've set a combination effectively enough to know that we have our opponent on the defensive, and we're going to be able to get off those tighter punches, namely hooks and uppercuts, with less risk. We don't want to enter the pocket off the jab unless we have confidence that is unusual in fighting. Because if you fight that aggressively, you're opening yourself up for damage and danger. So, too tight, too far, happy medium. And I'm fluid. This will take time, but in time, a jab workout might look something like this. Ultimately, we'll work to change levels. We'll learn to jab to the body as effectively as we do the head. Level change is not ducking forward, or as we call in wrestling, diving. Level change is I'm putting my body on the elevator and I'm going to sit down in more of a wrestling stance, like a squat. So if I want a level change, all the other fundamentals stay the same. We're going to refrain from double jabs as of now, because as you'll see in this punching sequence, the beauty of alternating left, right, is that the hips will load and unload, recoil naturally to give you the power that you want and need without you having artificially to create it. When you throw the double jab, which we can look to explore a bit down the road, you create the recoil. In other words, when I throw the jab, I'm here, my right hip is now open. Whereas if I want to throw a second jab, I have to bring myself back unnaturally. The double jab is an effective tool, but it's slightly more advanced. What we're going to focus on here momentarily is moving from that effectively thrown jab now to using this newly opened right hip to follow with a straight right punch. On the bag, boom. And believe it or not, this will become instinctive in no time at all. Check it out.